The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home from the office that Friday. I'm Torin, 43, and I work as a software developer in Seattle. I've been putting in extra hours lately, trying to get ahead on a project, and I was looking forward to a quiet weekend with my wife, Ingrid. We'd been married for 15 years, and while things weren't as fiery as they once were, I thought we were happy. I pulled into the driveway of our house in the suburbs, the familiar comfort washing over me. As I unlocked the front door, I heard Ingrid's voice coming from the living room. It wasn't just her voice, though. There was another one, a man's, low and murmuring. My blood ran cold. I crept towards the living room, my heart pounding in my chest. The scene that greeted me was like a punch to the gut. Ingrid was on the sofa, locked in a passionate embrace with a man I'd never seen before. His name, I would later learn, was Kieran. He was a life coach, whatever that meant. His hands were all over her, and she was kissing him back with an intensity I hadn't seen in years. An intensity she hadn't shown me in years. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. I stood there, frozen, unable to speak or move. They didn't notice me at first, lost in their little world of lust and lies. Finally, I cleared my throat, the sound echoing in the sudden silence. Ingrid gasped, pulling away from Kieran. Her eyes widened in horror as she saw me standing there. Kieran turned around, a smug look on his face that I instantly wanted to wipe off. "Torin," Ingrid stammered, her face pale. "This isn't what it looks like." "Oh, really? Because it looks like my wife is cheating on me with some sleazy guru," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "Care to explain?" Ingrid started to cry, the crocodile tears of a guilty woman. "It just happened," she sobbed. "I've been feeling so lost lately, and Kieran has been helping me find myself, helping you find yourself." "By sleeping with you," I retorted, my voice rising. "Is that what life coaches do these days?" Kieran stood up, smoothing his expensive suit. "Look, pal, I think you should calm down," he said, his voice condescending. "Ingrid and I have a deep connection. You wouldn't understand. A deep connection. You've known her for what, a few weeks?" I scoffed. "Get out of my house," Kieran smirked. "Gladly. Ingrid, call me when you've made up your mind." He sauntered out the door, leaving Ingrid and me in a sea of recriminations. That night was a blur of accusations, denials, and tears. Ingrid confessed that she'd been seeing Kieran for a month, that he made her feel alive again. She said our marriage had become stale, that I was too focused on work. I was stunned. Had I really been so blind, so neglectful? I spent the next few days in a daze, barely able to function. I went to work, but I couldn't concentrate. I ate, but I couldn't taste anything. I slept, but I was plagued by nightmares. The image of Ingrid and Kieran together was burned into my brain, a constant reminder of her betrayal. I confided in my best friend Emmett, a gruff but loyal mechanic who had always been there for me. He listened patiently as I poured out my heart, offering words of comfort and support. "You deserve better, Torin," he said. "She doesn't appreciate you." Emmett's words gave me a sliver of hope, a glimmer of strength. I knew he was right. I deserved better. I deserved someone who loved me, who respected me, who wouldn't betray me. I decided then and there that I wasn't going to let Ingrid's affair destroy me. I was going to fight back. I started by hiring a lawyer, a sharp woman named Tatum who specialized in divorce cases. She listened to my story with a sympathetic ear, offering practical advice and legal guidance. "We'll get you through this, Torin," she assured me. "You're not alone." Tatum advised me to gather evidence of Ingrid's affair, to document everything that had happened. I started by going through our financial records, searching for any signs of suspicious activity. It didn't take long to find them. Ingrid had been using our joint account to pay for expensive dinners, hotel rooms, and gifts for Kieran. The betrayal cut even deeper. I also decided to hire a private investigator, a discreet man named Sterling, to dig into Kieran's background. I wanted to know everything about him, what made him tick, what his weaknesses were. Sterling quickly uncovered a disturbing pattern. Kieran wasn't just a life coach. He was a con artist, preying on vulnerable women, seducing them, and then draining their bank accounts. He had a string of broken hearts and empty wallets in his wake. The more I learned about Kieran, the angrier I became. He wasn't just having an affair with my wife. He was manipulating her, exploiting her, and ruining her life. I knew I had to stop him, not just for my sake, but for Ingrid's as well. I confronted Ingrid with the evidence I had gathered, the financial records, the private investigator's report. She was horrified, realizing the truth about Kieran. "I can't believe I was so stupid," she cried. "He completely fooled me. He fooled both of us," I said, my voice bitter. "But I'm not going to let him get away with it." I decided to take action. I contacted the authorities, providing them with all the evidence I had collected. They launched an investigation into Kieran's activities, and it wasn't long before he was arrested and charged with fraud and exploitation. Ingrid was devastated, but she was also grateful. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake, that she had been blinded by Kieran's charm and lies. She begged for my forgiveness, promising to do whatever it took to win me back. I wasn't sure if I could ever forgive her completely, but I knew that I couldn't abandon her. She was still my wife, the woman I had loved for so many years. And she was a victim, too, a pawn in Kieran's twisted game. The divorce proceedings were long and painful, but eventually they came to an end. Ingrid and I separated, but we remained on civil terms. She got a job as a teacher, determined to make a fresh start. I focused on my work, throwing myself into my projects, finding solace in my accomplishments. One evening, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a phone call from Ingrid. She sounded distraught. "Torin, I need your help," she said, her voice trembling. "I've been diagnosed with cancer." My heart sank. Despite everything that had happened, I still cared about Ingrid. I couldn't imagine her going through something like this alone. "I'll be there for you," I said without hesitation. "Whatever you need." I spent the next few months by Ingrid's side, supporting her through chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. I drove her to appointments, cooked her meals, and kept her company during the long, lonely nights. I watched her lose her hair, her energy, her spirit. But I also saw her strength, her resilience, her determination to fight. During that time, Ingrid and I grew closer than we had been in years. We talked about everything: our hopes, our fears, our regrets. We forgave each other for the mistakes we had made, the hurts we had caused. We rediscovered the love that had brought us together in the first place. Ingrid eventually beat the cancer, emerging stronger and wiser. We didn't get back together, but we remained close friends. We had been through too much to simply walk away from each other. We had learned that love wasn't always easy, but it was always worth fighting for. As for Kieran, he was sentenced to several years in prison. His victims were able to recover some of the money he had stolen, but the emotional scars remained. He had destroyed many lives, including his own. I learned a lot from that experience. I learned that trust is precious, that betrayal is devastating, and that forgiveness is essential. I learned that life is unpredictable, that love is complicated, and that happiness is never guaranteed. But I also learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. And that sometimes, the greatest betrayals can lead to the greatest transformations. I eventually found love again, with a woman named Juniper who appreciated me for who I was. We built a life together, filled with laughter, trust, and mutual respect. And I never forgot the lessons I had learned from Ingrid, the woman who had broken my heart but ultimately made me a better man. The rain outside had stopped, and a sliver of moonlight peeked through the clouds, illuminating the quiet street. I was finally at peace. I share this story not for pity but as a testament to resilience. Betrayal leaves scars, but it doesn't have to define you. Find your strength, seek justice, and allow yourself the possibility of healing and new love. Your journey matters. Your story matters.